updated power rankings through Week 12.
The end of the college football regular season is coming fast, so we're back on the Big Mountain to break down how the teams compare.
Hey, welcome back to the Big Mountain. I'm JY. This is my good friend Steve, and as you said, Steve, we are almost to the end of the regular season, sitting here in mid-November, and really this is going to be the last power rankings that we're able to do before the end of the regular season. So we'll do another one kind of at the end when we're getting into championship week, but having all the teams play, we're getting close to the end. So if you're new to the channel, we take all the Big Ten Mountain West, Pac-12, and throw in Florida State. We'll work from the bottom and move all the way up, Steve. So let's start with the bottom group here. This is 21 through 33. Oregon State back at the bottom. Colorado State in 32nd. Nevada pulling off a win here this past weekend, moving up to 31st. San Jose State 30th. Purdue 29th. Wyoming 28th. Washington State 27th. Air Force, then Michigan State, Wisconsin, Maryland, Rutgers at 27th or 22nd, and Florida State getting pushed down into the bottom third after a mediocre 5-5 season thus far, Steve. Real quick, I want to talk about some movers, and then I'll throw it to you. We've got, obviously, San Jose State here down 8, down to 30th, and of course, they just lost to the Wolfpack, so I could understand some people saying, well, heck, knock them down one more notch, so they're underneath Nevada, but the way we average our rankings, that's where they're at, down 8. We had Wisconsin up 8 after they pull that upset against Washington. And then, as I mentioned, Florida State down into this bottom group. They're down 4 from the last go-around. They have not been this low all season, but I think appropriately ranked given kind of the season they've had. So what are your thoughts, Steve?
Well, obviously, I think San Jose State jumps out a lot. I know for me, I don't know if we've been close or separate most of the season, but for me, I dropped them a lot. I was holding them up for a while because I still thought they had that potential.
Agreed.
They got this offense. You know, I was waiting for them for everything to just click, and then for them to rattle off like 4 wins in a row. It's clear now that's not. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. So instead of looking at their potential and the potential to score points, I just had to kind of reset my thinking on them, what they've done throughout the season, what they've really shown they can do. And so I think it's fair to have them down there in like the bottom 5.
Agree. You had them at 30th. I had them at 28th. So I kind of did the same thing. I was giving them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Okay, they're gonna get it going. They're gonna get it going. But when they get blown out by Nevada, who's been in the bottom 3 the entire season, a team I said I wasn't sure if they were going to get a second win, and they get spanked by the Wolfpack here. I'm with you. I had to do a complete reset and say, okay, they're not the team I thought they were going to be clearly. And it was just announced before we're recording here, Steve. They actually have relieved the defensive coordinator, Odom, of his duties, and also the special teams coordinator of his duties. So they are making some coaching changes before the end of the season. And I went back and looked, and they're giving up. I think the average has to be about 30 points a game on defense. Like, they have a decent offense, but my goodness, the defense just... they're giving up a lot of points. So they're making some coaching changes. We'll see what happens for next year.
And wasn't it Nevada, you were saying how they got blown out. Didn't Nevada score like over 50 points?
Yeah, 55 points.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, some of that was turnover-based. Their offense was turning the ball over, but still not so good. The other team, Steve, here that we disagreed on dramatically, and that is Washington State. You actually had them as the worst team in our power rankings. They're a 5-5 team, and you had them in 33rd. I had them in 23rd, so by far the biggest difference of 10. Why did you have Washington State the bottom of the barrel?
You know, it's kind of like the relationship to Oregon State.
Yeah,
I was looking at the results and everything, and I go back and I see, you know, how the Bees have struggled so much. They've been so bad. Washington State's had some more ups and downs. Then when I look at them, I'm like, I mean, they've also had a bad season. Okay, they have had some more wins, but they lost to Oregon State, to the Bees, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I think my mind just went, you know what? I'm making these two the worst. Like, it's just that's where they are.
You had them at 33 and 32. You had the Pac-12 at the very bottom of our ranking. I obviously gave Washington State a lot more credit than you did, but hey, that's why we do these. We average them out, and they sit at 27th.
And I had just had Nevada at the very bottom, and then they go and have that awesome win. I'm like, I can't put either one of these above Nevada after having that win.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, the people at the bottom here for us, Oregon State, Colorado State, Nevada, they all have 2 wins right now, sitting at either 2-9 or 2-8. And those 3 teams, honestly, they've been at the bottom pretty much the entire year for us. But okay, enough of the bottom third, Steve. Let's go to the middle group, and that's on you.
Okay, so we have Utah State there at 20th, UCLA at 19th, Northwestern at 18, Penn State at 17, Boise at 16, Fresno State at 15, UNLV at 14, Hawaii at 13, Minnesota at 12, and San Diego State still hanging up around there at 11. And obviously, this is that point where we start to get that mix of like the maybe middle level Big Ten and the higher level Mountain West. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, clearly we're getting into most of the Mountain West in this group. We've got, what is it, about 7 or 8 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 of them here in the middle of this group. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of where you got to figure out, okay, how do the Mountain West schools kind of play into the Big Ten schools? I mean, we had Hawaii moving up 5. Of course, they have that huge win 2 weeks ago on the islands there against San Diego State. And, you know, I actually had them up a little bit higher. I had them ranked 10th in my overall ranking because of that win. That was a huge, not just a win, but a dominating win against San Diego State. And then, you know, UNLV, they're 8-2. And, you know, you're going to hear the same things that you've heard all season. They haven't really beat anybody. There's so many teams under 500. Their defense is, hey, it's an 8-2 team. And I actually highlighted that. I mean, for an 8-2 team, we have them at 14th. If I'm a Rebel fan, I'm probably asking us, why do you have us so low at 8-2? And I gave the reasons why non-Rebel fans are saying why they should be lower. So I think they fit right where they should be. And when you look at that, Hawaii, UNLV, Fresno State, Boise State, these are all the teams that are in the mix for a Mountain West championship game. All 2-loss teams in conference right now. And, you know, flip a coin right now as to who's going to beat who. So I think that's well done. UCLA, Steve, just to get back to your Big Ten, then I'll throw it to you. They're down 6. You know, you're hotter on them than I am. We had them at, where were they at? You had them at 16. I had them at 21. But they are a 3-7 team. And I know you're probably putting more stock on what they've done more recently. But, you know, I have to look at them and say, hey, they're 3-7. They got a couple nice wins, but they're back to losing again. So... to me, they're not that great.
Yeah,
I said a lot there, so you can go ahead.
So the last time they dropped a lot. We had them up even higher last time. We had them up there at what, like... we had
them like 13th or 14th,
which to me was based on how they were playing right then.
Yeah.
And they were playing great right then. Now, 2 weeks later, they lost 2 games in a row. One of them was Ohio State, maybe. Somebody really good.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And I didn't really hold that against them, but now they had a second loss here in a row. So I honestly think right around the, like, I don't know, 16 to like 22 is a good spot for them. And depending on, you know, next week they might come back and dominate someone again.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would probably raise them back up, but I think that's about fair. Maybe they're still a little high just because they had that nice streak where they were beating people.
Yeah.
So we'll see as they close out the season. There was someone else. I was just going to say in general, the Mountain West teams, and you pretty much already covered it. You try and look at this, and I know someone's going to be like, well, why is Hawaii behind San Diego State? Because they just beat them. Well, San Diego State also has some good wins, has a slightly better record.
Yep.
And you can do that with all of those Mountain West teams at the top, because they've been just all those 2-loss teams in conference that you talked about. They've all knocked each other off. So you can put yourself in a circle with that. It's getting really, really hard. It was really hard for me this week. It was hard last time. It was really hard for me this week to really differentiate between the Mountain West teams. I thought San Diego State still, even with that loss to Hawaii, I think they're just a notch ahead of the pack. And then you have this pack of maybe 3 or 4 more teams that can all, you know, get into the championship game and win it.
Well, let's get to the next group, 6 through 10. There's one Mountain West school we have not yet named, and they sit at number 10. That is New Mexico. I think we both believe probably the hottest team in the Mountain West right now. Then at 9, we have Iowa, then Nebraska, Washington at 7, and Illinois at 6. Illinois, Washington, Nebraska, and New Mexico all sitting at 7-3 right now. Iowa is 6-4, but we've got New Mexico in the top 10, Steve. What are your thoughts on that?
Very cool. Good for them. They've had a good season. Solid season, much better season than anybody expected. I think they've been pretty consistent. I mean, they've lost some games here and there, but I think they've been pretty consistent throughout the season. You don't have the big swings like you have with some of those other teams. So I think that's cool for them. And then we just get into that log jam of those Big Ten teams that they're all, sitting there with either 3 or 4 losses.
Right.
They're solid. They've knocked off some solid teams. Really hard to differentiate between those teams. So I think this is just a solid group. They definitely are not, don't deserve to be in that top 5 because of the games that they've lost. Solid group there.
Yeah, well, and I will just say we have New Mexico and San Diego State at 10 and 11, and when we do the averages, they're very, very, very close. You actually had San Diego State a notch above New Mexico. And we're going to learn who's the better team because they play here the final week of the season. So shaping up to be a great contest. Of course, we've got this coming week, Hawaii versus UNLV. Again, Hawaii we have sitting at 13th. UNLV we have sitting at 14th. So some huge games in the Mountain West. The other thing I would just say with Iowa, I actually had them out of the top 10 now. They're coming into the past 2 weeks here. They had 2 straight losses. And, I had them slipping a little bit out of my top 10, but, they're right there around that 9, 10, 11, 12E area. So, tis what it is. I do want to just say Minnesota, who we had in our top 10 for a couple straight rankings, they move out of the top 10, and New Mexico is the new member of the top 10 right now. So, Steve, I am going to let you take the top 5. Not a whole lot of change. Actually, I don't think any change from our last rankings.
Yeah, the top 5 has really kind of solidified itself, I think, over the last few times we've done this. We'll start with Michigan at number 5, USC at number 4, Oregon at number 3, and then we still continue to have Ohio State and Indiana tied for first. They've shown themselves to be the class of definitely the Big Ten, possibly in the country. I mean, they've been ranked 1 and 2 in the CFP and the AP top 25, all of those. So they've definitely distanced themselves. But you have that pack of Oregon, USC, and Michigan. Michigan, I have a hard time seeing them get to the point where they can get into the CFP, but it's possible. The math is there. 8-2. They have 2 more games. If they win those, especially if they beat Ohio State,
right?
Then they probably get in that way. But they have to basically run the table. USC in a similar position right now. I would have them out of the CFP. And I know this isn't a CFP necessary conversation,
but that's what we're talking about. 2 weeks out from
right, and especially up here at the top.
Yep.
And so USC is going to travel to Oregon here, and USC has some really nice wins. They lost to Notre Dame. I'm trying to remember who else they lost to, one other team, but
I'm forgetting now too.
Yeah, something in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So they lost to Notre Dame. They lost one other game in the Big Ten, but they're really sitting pretty nice there. 8-2 record. If they can beat their last 2 games are Oregon. That's not easy to do, especially at my favorite place, Autzen Stadium.
Yes.
But if they do beat them, they have UCLA back in Southern California to close the season. That's definitely a winnable game. So that's what's interesting for me. I think the top 3, they're kind of a class of their own, but USC has a chance against them. And Michigan, even down at number 5, they got a chance. I mean, they've beaten Ohio State 3 years in a row, something like that. So we'll see. But until those games happen, I think what we have right here is definitely the way it should be.
Top 5 are, I think, pretty easy. There's a big gap between Michigan at 5 and Illinois at 6. There's just definitely a decrease. They've had a little more hiccups. Have the Illinois, the Washingtons, the Nebraskas and stuff. Whereas your top 5 here, I mean, they're pretty stacked. They're very, very strong teams.
Agreed.
So, all right, Steve, that's where they're at. We will do one more of these when the regular season ends. We'll also, of course, be talking CFP, who we think is going to get into the CFP. Lots of great content as we get towards championship season in college football. So with that, thank you guys for watching this. Hit that like button on the way out, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.